Good morning, everybody. We're live here from the birdhouse where we've got a birding update of the different things people are seeing in their backyards. We've got some photos to share with you as well. And as always, we love to know what kind of things you are seeing. You can put your sightings in the comments, or if you have any questions, you can throw those in there too, or you can always just say hi. So we will get started here. First of all, if you are local to the Rochester area, this Saturday we do have some birds of prey coming from Wild Wings. Teddy the snowy owl, who is always a very big draw and a big hit, will be here along with the short-eared owl, whose name I think is it Sage? I think is the short-eared owl from Wild Wings will be here this Saturday from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. So you can stop in to see those birds here. It's always a really good thrill to see those birds up close. So we'll have Wild Wings here on Saturday. Also this Saturday, on our live stream, we will have Matt Young from the Finch Research Network back on. He's going to give us an update about this past season and how the eruption was with the different finches, things like the common redpoll, those redpolls coming in, the pine grosbeaks and evening grosbeaks. So he'll be giving us an update on the finch eruption that we had this year. And so that will be this Saturday on our broadcast right here at 10 a.m. So we've got that going on as well this week. If you're interested in winter finches, one of the best places that you can watch them in action, if you will, is the Ontario Feeder Watch cam from the Cornell Lab of Ornithology. Usually there's some pretty interesting finches on there that we would consider the winter finches that will sometimes come down south here for the winter. Things like those evening grosbeaks and pine grosbeaks you can often see at this live streaming camera called the Ontario Feeder Watch from the Cornell Lab. As far as sightings in people's backyards, we've been hearing about house finches coming to Niger feeders and sunflower seed feeders. Same with purple finch, who tend to be more common in the winter months at bird feeders. So keep an eye out for them. And then also at the Niger feeders, things like pine siskin. So pine siskin will sometimes join flocks of goldfinches, and they will come to Niger feeders all together. And the American goldfinches, we do have them here all year round. Right now, they're looking like this. They're not that bright gold that they are in the spring and summer months, but you guys are definitely getting finches. This picture was sent in by Patty, who has her feeders just covered in goldfinches. Not only that feeder that's closest to the camera here, but it looks like that tube feeder in the background is covered in goldfinches. And she's got some other bird activity in the background. It looks like there might be a blue jay in flight back here, a little downy woodpecker on the feeder, but lots and lots of goldfinches. So that's always good to see. And these goldfinches are perched on a mesh Niger feeder that has no perches on it. If you look at that, it has a tray on it, but no perches. The finches don't need perches. They can cling onto mesh Niger feeders like this one here. This one's nice because it has a little bit of a weather guard on the top. It has a little bit of a tray, but this is a popular style of Niger feeder. So not only do we have the mesh Niger feeders like this, we also have tube feeders that are super easy to clean. The bases pop out. So we've got all that stuff if you're trying to attract finches. And then also some sightings of Carolina wren. Not only have we been hearing about Carolina wren coming to bird feeders, but they're also calling quite a bit too. So keep an eye and ear out for things like Carolina wren visiting your feeders. I've been getting them coming to my safflower seed log feeder, surprisingly. And they do like things like sunflower hearts. They'll eat suet. They do like the mealworms. And this time of the year, freeze-dried mealworms are always best. The live mealworms just can't survive in the cold that we've been having. But once it warms up, we will have more live mealworms for things like the Carolina wrens and also bluebirds. So lots of bluebird activity out there. They aren't nesting at this moment yet. It's still too early in the season. But if you see them hanging around houses, they could be looking for a place to nest for this following spring. So keep an eye out for bluebirds around, especially if you have a heated bird bath. They absolutely love heated bird baths and will splash around in there quite a bit if given the opportunity. Some other birds people are getting in their backyards, things like blue jays coming to any feeders that have peanuts, especially. They love peanuts in the shell. You can also offer them peanut pickouts, the insides of the peanuts, and sunflower seed too, the black oil sunflower seed. You can't go wrong with it. Putting that in your feeders will attract a huge diversity of birds, including things like blue jay and the female cardinal. The female northern cardinal and male northern cardinal will also come to sunflower feeders. They love the safflower seed, and we've been even seeing them coming to some peanut feeders as well. Woodpeckers are definitely around. Northern flickers tend to be more common at bird feeders in the winter than they are the spring and the summer months. It's probably because their normal food sources of things like insects are very scarce this time of the year, and they definitely will come to the suet feeders in the wintertime. And the flicker that we have on the East Coast here, where I am, is the yellow-shafted flicker, which you can see kind of how it gets its name here from this picture. If you look on those feathers, on the flight feathers, they are yellow. They have a yellow hue. And on the underside of those feathers, they're bright yellow as well. So we have it's called the yellow-shafted northern flicker. On the West Coast, it's the red-shafted northern flicker. So we've got lots of not only northern flicker activity, but pileated woodpeckers coming to backyards, especially if you have what's called a paddle-tail Niger feeder, which this feeder is, it's kind of hard to tell from the picture, but it does have a projection on the bottom that the woodpecker will use to prop its tail up against in order to make it a little bit easier for them to feed. So they'll cling onto the mesh of the suet feeder and then prop their tail up with the tail prop. This is a very, very cool sighting, which as soon as I saw it, couldn't wait to share. This is a picture that was sent in by Janet Cranston Faber from Naples, New York, who says, "Believe it or not, I've had a male rose-breasted grosbeak." And sure enough, right there in all the snow, a male red-breasted grosbeak just hanging out on the feeder. This time of the year, we usually hear things about evening grosbeaks being at feeders, although they are kind of rare, and sometimes even a pine grosbeak, but not a rose-breasted grosbeak, not until April or so. So this was a really, really cool sighting. And she sent in a secondary picture. This is still here every afternoon around 5 p.m. So very uncommon sighting for this time of the year. So that's very, very cool. Really neat sighting there. And then, of course, the hawk activity with all of the songbird activity coming to feeders. Don't be surprised if you get the hawks coming as well. You're getting those predators of the songbirds. And this is a picture Mark had sent in of a sharp-shinned hawk in his backyard. He says, "Didn't see what it caught, but interesting to see nature unfold outside my window," which is very, very true. So things like sharp-shinned hawk are visiting backyards, and more commonly the Cooper's hawk, which is even larger than the sharp-shinned hawk. And this picture was sent in by Sally, who says, "Cooper's hawk scared away the birds at my feeders, but have enjoyed woodpeckers, Carolina wrens, flickers, chickadees, and more." Yeah, if you all of a sudden see the birds scatter or fly away and they're just gone, keep an eye out for a hawk. Look up in the trees and see if you've got a hawk nearby. Sometimes they'll even perch on bird feeder poles, and or they'll dive into shrubs to get birds. So keep an eye out for any kind of bird of prey if all of a sudden your birds have disappeared. And speaking of birds of prey, here's an adult bald eagle, Lock 32 photo that had been sent in by Mark. Keep an eye out for any kind of open water for the bald eagles. And the immature bald eagles look quite a bit different. Here's a picture of an immature bald eagle over at Arundequoit Bay West. So thank you guys for tuning in. This Orange Plain fan says, "Is this live?" Yes, we are live right now. We're live every Tuesday morning and Saturday morning at 10 a.m. And Steel Monkey says, yes, Liz, I tried the dry mealworms. They were a big hit. Oh, that's great to hear. Things like Carolina wren love the freeze-dried mealworms. Bluebirds will eat them, and especially during breeding season and when the birds have laid their eggs and they're incubating the eggs and those eggs hatch and they've got those babies to feed, they love the mealworms, both freeze-dried, but especially live if you can feed them the live mealworms. So it looks like that's everybody's comments and questions for the day. We'll be back on Saturday live here with Matt Young from the Finch Research Network. And then in store, starting at 11:30, we will have the Teddy the Snowy Owl and the short-eared owl, Sage from Wild Wings, will both be here. So it's going to be a great weekend. So until then, everybody have a wonderful week. And if you take any pictures of your birds, send them on in to us and we will share them here. And until then, we will talk to you soon and enjoy the birds. Bye-bye.